Hello everyone and welcome back to EXA Season 10 Division 1 for the 6th round of the season, and we are here at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. The circuit is 2.8 miles long with 14 turns, 6 to the left and 8 to the right, with a single DRS zone completing the circuit. Opening in 1991, it's held every Spanish Grand Prix every year since it has become a staple of the Formula 1 calendar, and has been used as a testing ground ahead of every Formula 1 season up until COVID, and we'll have another test in 2026 ahead of the new Formula 1 regulations. In EXA Division 1, the inaugural and only Spanish Grand Prix to be held here was back in Season 4, when Zoran Pinzan took victory, and who can take themselves to victory here tonight. I'm the commentator James Jackson, and I will be taking you through the action tonight as we enter 18 minutes of qualifying, but we have some things to discuss. A couple weeks ago we had Monaco, and it was a very, very interesting race. A lot of things to go over there. We'll gloss over that, but Diego Zorzo took victory there ahead of Jenson Rosen, while Tamas Kokone and Alex Cavero took third and fourth. Tolki rounded out that top 5, while Gianluca Nolfo took the final finishing position. Only 6 drivers finished that race. A lot of drivers still yet to score points, and these drivers who did finish scored some good points in their standings. Meanwhile, in the driver standings, Luca Rabassa leads the way by a single point. However, after his code of conduct, let's say, in Monaco, it means he is a single point. He is now banned, and we will not see him, well, for at least foreseeable future, until everyone invites him back in. Great. Diego Zorzo is second in standing, a single point behind, while Larry Tolke is 15 further points back. Jenson Rosen is 5 points further back in P4, while Tamas Kokone is on the same number of points as well. Tony Hurtella, Liam Stevens, Valentino Labella, Gabriel Quintorino, and Alexi Cavero round out the top 10 on the grid. And top 10 in the standings, I should say, before we get to our constructors. Mercedes lead the way by 6 points over Williams, while Red Bull are 3 points further back. Haas in 4th, 5th for RB, 6th for Alpine, McLaren 7th, Ferrari 8th, Aston Martin in 9th, with a big gap to Sauber in 10th, but only 44 points cover those top 9 constructors, so it is still all to play for with half the season to go. We'll quickly go to our calendar now. Tonight we are at Spain instead of Canada, but we'll be at British Grand Prix next week, and then Mexico the week after. Before we have our Christmas break, and then Saudi, Brazil and Abu Dhabi will be our final 3 races of the season. So, with that all in mind, we are in qualifying now, and there we go, that loads back in, and we get our ears blown off by the Alpine. So there we go. Squad drivers currently out on track. Angelo D'Atencio and Nelson Alves are both out of session. Nelson Alves being DSQ'd, I assume, for either driving the wrong way or being parked in a dangerous location. So we're going to see a couple of drivers out on track. Let's start off with Gabriel Amato, who is currently on the circuit. Just make sure RLT is running for these drivers. We have 16 drivers here today, and RLT seems to be running okay for now. We're going to continue on. Gabriel Amato in the McLaren, going around towards turn 5 into the left hand, and now very difficult corners to get right before you stamp on the power to go through the flat of turn 6. Barely notice it in Formula 1 cars. Then into turn 7, very difficult corner to get right the best times, because when you don't go too wide into turn 8, you'll go across that sausage curb and lose yourself a lot of time, and potentially your floor as well. Turn 9, almost flat, if not flat, on soft tyres in qualifying trim. A lot more difficult corner in race trim. Through sector 3 now, we go through 10 and 11, and then through up towards 12 and 13, through the last 2 corners, through the right, and the final one just about flat through there, but it depends on how much you want to take as we go across the line. Gabriel Amato, takes a 12.0 before Jenson Rosen goes 11.0, second clear and ahead of Alexa Cavero by 2 Gabriel Quintino, also 7 thousandths behind the Williams. as we see the rest of the field start to set their times now, as it is currently 16 drivers on the field, a very, very close grid at this stage. Thomas Laminen in the Alpine going to be flying through and up towards turn 4. Can the Alpine find their way into a best into the top end of the field, or will they be find it a bit difficult around the circuit? Vodesteg is taking the fastest time of 11.0 as well, 300ths quicker than Jenta Rosen, while and Gabriel Quintino. Was it Gabriel Quintino? One of the two. I will get told off one day. So we will see as these drivers go down towards sector 3 now, as Thomas Laminen just tries to perfect his lap. Well, Larry Tolke goes faster to the 10.9, the first driver into the 1:10s. Can his Alpine teammate join him as we go through the final couple of corners now, up towards the line, through the final corner, a lot faster than it was in a couple years ago due to the chicane being removed now, and it's 11.3, only 3 tenths off his teammate, but that puts him 6 places behind his teammate, while Tamas Kokone goes fastest over 10.9 himself. These drivers are absolutely pushing it to the limit because they are in ridiculously close form to one another. We're going to see as that's the wrong button. We're going to get to that one. We're going to see it's a Red Bull of EXA X1. It goes around sector 3 to try, and I believe maybe start a flying lap. He might be. I think he's decided that he's backed off this one. So, nope, he's coming into the pit lane. So, we'll find someone else who is on a lap. I need a track map. That'll help me. We will see the next driver come across the line will be the Mercedes and now championship leader of Diego Zorzo in the Mercedes. Can Diego Zorzo get himself into the front running contention, our championship leader after Luca Rapassa's ban? Can the Mercedes, and only a single point behind Luca Rapassa nonetheless, so it isn't like it is a easy championship taking the lead off. He's got quite a few drivers in contention as well, so it is going to be a difficult championship to hold as we go round the final corner. Up towards the line, he goes P3 of 11.0, just ahead of Vodesteg as well, his teammate, but just behind the Alpine and the RB, while Pascal Ranelli goes 10.9 himself. We've got all sorts of drivers, 5 drivers, well, almost 5 drivers within a tenth of each other. Within 2 tenths of each other, we have 7 drivers, and that is very, very close between our top drivers at the moment. Very little separating all of them. Can Kendon Lutt or Liam Stevens? Liam Stevens, I believe, is on a lap. Never mind, he is invalidated, so he'll be going for a lap himself. So it'll be next up. It will be Kendon Lutt who crosses the line. As the Haas is invalidated as well, so we will not have to worry about him at this temporary moment. We will continue on as the Haas is going to not be the next driver, so it will be Liam Stevens himself who is the next driver to cross the line, but he is not moving at a quick, too quick of a pace. 22.3, decent, but I think he isn't really using that ERS there, and he's just backed off. I think he's not using any sort of ERS, so we will see who is the next driver to start a flying lap. It will be Gabriel Quintino, who is currently on a lap. Going through turn 3 now and up towards turn 4. Can the Aston Martin find themselves in a good position? Exact same time as what they've done in Sector 1 on the previous time round. So they will need to find some time here. But apparently it is the fastest Sector 1 on our track map. So there we will see how much quicker that Alpine can go. We will go, Aston can go through the left-hander now and up to the right, bouncing across that yellow sausage curve. Got to be careful not to go too far across it though, otherwise he will lose a heap of lap time getting caught on it. And now, down towards sector 3, 800ths up on his personal best. Isn't quite enough to get him through to provisional pole position, but it could certainly be enough if he can find some extra time in sector 3 through the right hander, just keeping the throttle application nice and smooth. Now flat through the penultimate corner, go through the final corner, keeping it steady as the RPMs drop a little bit as you lose momentum as we cross the line, and 10.9, just under a tenth up on his own personal best, but puts himself P4 and joins the 1 minute 10.9 club, and that is a very, very close field as things stand. We will see the next set of drivers to cross the line will be Liam Stevens, who is currently on maybe another lap. I'm not sure. Maybe he's backed off. Is he on another lap? I believe so. Maybe not. Oh, he's 2 temps up. Maybe he's actually. He must have backed off. Maybe I think he's going for another. He may be coming in for his in lap now. So it'll be next driver to come across the line will be Gabriel Amato. Gabriel Amato, that's the one. As we go through the left hand and through the right, can the McLaren, can the Papaya car put themselves further up the field to 11.6 currently, 7 temps off the pace, and decides he's backing off this lap. Sees the Aston Martin in front of him and a couple other drivers stacking up, maybe looking to attempt go for another flyer at the end of this one, but he will not have exactly the optimal battery as we go through towards the end of his sector to start maybe another flying lap. He seems to be building up to this one a little bit more, and no, he comes straight into the pits. So the next driver to come across the line will be should be Badensky. Badensky, that's the one. Go through on the Sauber. He's going to be the only one currently on a lap unless Liam Stevens has gone for another one. The Sauber going round towards the next. Towards the end of sector 1, 2 thousandths down on his own personal best. Maybe we'll need to find some more time through the rest of the lap. Goes down towards turn 5. The Sauber, the mystery machine, just keeping himself nice and tidy through there. And now he's got to keep himself into turn 7 and 8 up through towards turn 9. Then this right hand is very difficult to get right. You've got to be careful of the curb on the inside, the curb on the outside, and also everything in between in terms of traction, throttle application, and brake modulation as we go into sector 3 now. 10th and a bit up as we go through the first 2 sectors. Now the mystery machine just trying to hold on to himself and try to hold his line. Can he get enough improvement to make himself into the front runners, or will he just be a little bit off? Round the final corner, using up all the track and a little bit more. Up to the line, 11.4, puts himself into the top 10, but not quite into our front running group as things stand. The next driver to cross the line potentially will be Thomas. Not quite. It will be the Mercedes. Okay, who is it? It will be Jensen Rosen, who is the next driver to cross the line, but he is currently backed off of his lap as we enter the last 5 or 6 minutes, 7 minutes give or take, by the time we get to the end of this one. So the next driver across the line will probably be Kendon Lutt on a lap as the Haas flies round the penultimate corner into the final corner. What time does the Haas put on the board? It is a 10.9 himself and fastest by the Haas. Excellent job by the by Kendon to move himself 200ths ahead of Pascal Ranelli. That is ridiculously close. As we continue on now, it'll be next up, it will be Tamaslo Okene. He seems to be improving. Can he improve enough? It's by half a tenth in the first 2 sectors. It is by much more. It's by nearly a full tenth, and he's into the 10.8 as Tamas goes provisionally pole at the moment. But can anyone stop him? Is Voltes Steg starts his flying lap. Biedensky is going to be coming in for his lap as there's a slow Mercedes in sector 2. Diego Zorzo starts his lap as Voltes Steg, has slowed down. As same with the an RB further back as well of Alexei Cavero. The Williams of Jensen Rosen will be going through now, and he's going to be trying to improve his lap time. As we now look through towards the final couple of corners for the Williams, through the penultimate corner, flat through there and into the pit lane, decides he does not want to complete that lap, maybe feeling that he needs to get new tyres at the end of the session before we go for our final runs. The rest of the field will start to come through. Pascal Ranelli goes fast. It's a 10.7, blitzing Tamas Kokane's time by just over a tenth of a second. That's not much of a margin, but putting it straight into the 10.7 is key. Now puts himself the biggest margin we have seen from top to bottom since the start of the session, and that is going to be crucial by the end of this one, because knowing this, that you can fit about 7 or 8 cars in there. With how close these drivers can be. Who is going to be next across the line? It will be the Aston Martin of Liam Stevens, who's coming around the start of flying lap, as Gabriel Amato is also on an out lap himself. So it'll be Potestek is going to go round into 1.1 seconds down. He's not improving on his time, so everyone else is now just trying to find themselves the time and the time necessary or get themselves prepped for their final runs. Alexi Guerrero 6,000s up on their personal best, currently 11.2 in on their previous best. Can they improve the necessary? As we now go around the final couple corners, Alexi Guerrero comes into the pit lane, and I think we'll see everyone else come into the pit lane who is currently on track, as they all try and sort themselves out for the final run of this session. Liam Stevens currently invalidated, and he is 2 seconds up, but invalidated is the crucial word there. So Liam Stevens decides to retire from the session, deciding he is not happy with this race, this how this quality session's going, as we now go through towards the end of sector 2 now, breaking at about 150 meters, between 100 and 150 meters in these modern day F1 cars, about 700ths up in the first 2 sectors. Can Gabriel Amato put himself further up the field? It is going to be a very, very difficult task, but can the McLaren do it as we go round the final corner, minimalising the lap time possible, and goes nearly a 10th up and faster than EXA X1 into 11.5, but it's only P12. Pascal Ranelli has decided that is their session done. The current provisional pole sitters thought they're not going to get better than that, and they are going to retire from this session with just 3 minutes to go, as the rest of the field now starts to come out for their flying runs. We'll go on with Gabriel Quintino, as the Aston Martin is the first driver who will be going on their final flying runs. At the moment, the Aston Martin really currently in P6. It's only got to find 2.5 temps, but 2.5 temps in this is very, very difficult to find, and that, like I say, is the difference between P1 and P6. And with everyone else looking to go for hopefully, if they want to go for their optimal flying run, it could be a very, very close session by the end of it. Pascal Ranelli might have to hold on to this one, because that is going to be difficult to hold on to with just that lap. Track evolution coming into play, and Gabriel Quintino has decided that he is going for another outlap, going for a second outlap, which is an interesting decision from the Aston Martin. Maybe not feeling one lap of warming up their tyres is enough. We're going to see, though, as Jenson Rosen, who is now on a lap, is going to start running down towards turn 1. Keep as far to the left as possible. Go dip into the corner, dip into turn 2, touch the curb before climbing up through turn 3. This long right hander, very difficult to get right. Stick to the inside before swooping to the outside for turn 4. Currently half a tenth up on their own personal best as we go through towards turn 5, switching to opposite sides of the track now as we go dipping into the left-hander, keeping a nice racing line as we get onto the exit. Fairly nice run as he keeps himself in the white lines for those moments. Can he do it through here? Very difficult corner to get right as we go through turn 8 and now into turn 9 as he keeps his foot in DRS all the way down towards turn 10, just over a tenth and a half, or just under a tenth and a half up as you go through there, through 11 into turn 12. Got to keep the car as tight as possible as we go through there before accelerating out of the corner into turn 13, flat through there. Try and keep it as flat and as fast as possible through the final corner up towards the line. It is a 10.9, puts himself P4 in that, and just 2,000 ahead of Diego Zorzo, and less than 200 behind Kenton Lutt. It's going to be hella close by the end of this one. Next up will be Bottesteg, who is currently not on a flying lap. It'll be Alexi Guerrero or Tamas Coconut. Tamas goes faster by a couple hundreds, but does not go fastest. They stick themselves in P2. Alex Guerrero sticks himself in P10. That's the RB's they finish. Tamas Coconut P2. Alexi Guerrero P10, as they both come very close at the end of that session. I think Kendon Lutt has just started a flying lap. Yes, they have. As the time clicks to 0, it is going to be, and never mind, they've just finished up their P3, 10.9. That is their day done. Can they keep on to that P3 though? We're going to see the next driver to come across the line is not Thomas Laminin, it is Larry Tolke, P4, 10.9 himself, jumps ahead of Jenson Rosen. Who's next across the line? It is the Red Bull of Barracks, P13 for him. Next across the line, Thomas Laminin in the Alpine. flicking their way through the last couple corners. A bit of squirrely on the exit of the corner, but can they manage to get the optimised line and optimal run? 11.2, 700s down, doesn't improve on their time. The Aston Martin of Gabriel Quinto, P7 for him. Next up, Diego Zorzo. He goes P6. Our championship leader will stop P6 in an almightily close session. Vodesteg is the last driver across the line. P5 from the Mercedes, 10.9 themselves. We've got 6 drivers in a 10.9, and 7 drivers within a 10th if you include Thomas Cockney. And that is an excellent job from all these drivers. But Pascal Ranelli did it a couple minutes earlier and took pole position in the for the Spanish Grand Prix, and that is a session done for these gentlemen. Excellent stuff from Pascal Ranelli and everyone involved. We see Pascal Ranelli take pole position ahead of Thomas Cockney, Kenton Luck, Larry Dolke, Bogdesteg, Jensen Rosen, Diego Zorzo, Gabriel Cadino, Thomas Laminen, Alexi Cavero, Joseph Densky, Gabriel Amato, Sim Barracks 1, Liam Stevens, Andrea D'Ortenzio and Nelson Alves round out our grid for 16 drivers at Spain, at the circuit of Barcelona, Catalonia. And this is an excitingly close roll line. 13 of the 14 drivers who set times. Liam Stevens didn't set a optimised lap either. All 13 drivers who set proper times were within a second of one another, and that is something to look forward to, especially when 3 drivers didn't set times either. Representative times either, I should say. But that is session done. We move on to the race, a 33 lap race ahead of us, and this is only going to get more and more exciting. We will see as the drivers will just now decide their strategies, and we've got softs, mediums and hards being represented so far on the strategy board, and everyone will be switching their tyres, trying to decide what is best for them before we get going and underway. And this could get very well exciting for these drivers. They got a vast array of drivers from every single area in Europe, basically. Italy, Hungary, Estonia, Finland, Czech Republic, a couple British drivers, Spanish, Brazilian, a couple Finns as well. The Polish drivers, got a couple of international drivers as well, not choosing their flags, as well as the Portuguese. All sorts of drivers from up and down Europe, all being represented here. As we now continue on to the race. Mediums for the top 4 so far. Hards for Vodesteg, mediums for Jensen Rosen, hards for Diego Zorzo and Gabriel Cadino. Thomas Laminen on mediums, Alex Cavero and Bedensky on hards. As we're about to get ready for the 5 red lights. It's the 5 red lights for Division 1 in Spain. And it is lights out. And away we go for as the Ferrari gets a decent start there. He keeps himself nice and tidy, but the Thomas Cockney gets an even better start in the second phase into turn 1. Can the RB take the position? They're going to go side by side through turn 1 and 2. Keep it all clean there, gents, as we got a couple drivers off the road, but they continue on nicely. They rejoin safely as well. Thomas Cockney takes the lead ahead of Pascal Ranelli. The Ferrari not getting the best of Sarsis now, who is on the hard compound of tyres, is trying to defend for their life against Kendon Luck into turn 4 and now into turn 5. Around the outside goes Kendon Luck. Can he make the move stick? The Ferrari is pushing him and pushed him, but he's giving him just enough space to keep the car on the road. But Pascal Ranelli keeps the position in the P2. Meanwhile, there's all sorts of changes further back. Gabriel Amato and Nelson Alves are there's drivers pretty much here, there and everywhere. As a few drivers are off the circuit, and what has happened down here, I think there might have been a bit of contact between Gabriel Mato, Kozpezensky, and a few others back there. Meanwhile, side-by-side action between Andrea D'Ortenzio and Alexi Cavero as they go through side-by-side. The Ferrari starting in P15 on the grid, while Nelson Alves in P8. It was started right at the back. He has done an excellent job to get himself through there. But on lap 1, it is Thomas Cockney who leads the way. Ella Pascal Ranelli, Kendon Nutt, Larry Dolke, Jensen Rosen, Voltes Diego Zorzo, while Nelson Alves, Thomas Laminen and Alejandro D'Ortenzio move into the top 10 as well. We're going to see Nelson Alves move his way up the P7 ahead of Diego Zorzo. Our championship leader has lost out on his position as things stand, but a couple drivers on the softs. Diego Zorzo on the hard compound tyres. He knows that he's not going to be able to hold those positions forever, and it is best to try and manage this race from here on out. Couple strategy, soft, medium, medium. We've got a couple drives on hards as well, so it could all very much change. Around the outside goes Sim Barracks on Alexi Guevara. The medium running Red Bull is going to stay ahead, jump ahead of the sister running RB of Alexi Guevara, who moves down to P12 on the hard. And it is going to be a very, very long race. Those ones on hard in the early stints, because they will not have that sort of pace they would be expecting to have in these sort of fights. We now move through sector 3 on lap 2. Thomas Cockney leads the way by 1.4 seconds over Pascal Ranelli as the Ferrari continues to find their way in a bit of bother with Kendon Luck, because these drivers on the hards are going to be managing their pace, have a significant pace deficit. To the inside goes Kendon Luck with the DRS. He takes the position and takes second place away from the Ferrari. He now sets his sight on breaking that DRS over the next lap, and then going after the RB of Tamas, not letting them break away too far. But this has been the dream start for Tamas, getting the P1 off the first couple corners. Use the Ferrari on the hard to try and stay and pull a little bit of a gap, and now try and manage a little bit of this race. We will continue through the rest of this as the Ferrari starts to drop back a little bit. Currently within 8 tenths, so still within that 1 second window, but it's very, very, very difficult for this for the Ferrari to maintain pace with medium runners on those sets of hards. Lovely helicopter camera shot around the circuit as we see the Ferrari now drop back into P3. As what has happened to Badensky? He's disappeared. Sure. Didn't even see him retire. But sure. He's now retired from this race, our first retirement. As Oscar Manelli is going to try and get himself into defence, and he does manage to keep the position temporarily, maybe saving up a bit of that battery and using the DRS of Kendon Luck, who is slowly pulling this field back into the battle with Tamas Cockney for the race lead. 1.1 seconds is now the gap between the Haas and the RB. Can the Haas move themselves in that DRS window, or is it going to be too little, too late for that guy, for the Haas at this stage? They don't want to burn up their tyres too much either. As things stand, Hamas is just trying to manage this pace. Put 5-6 teams in the top 6 at this moment. Meanwhile, Gabriel Cantino is trying to move his way up the field, moving up to P12. Alexi Guevara is dropped down to P14, maybe having an issue of his own because he's dropped behind both Aston Martins, who are fairly far behind, I must say, as the RB drops down to P14. These drivers will continue on. 15 drivers in this race. I mean, all 15 drivers will get points at this time, and it is going to be a continued battle for all of them. DRS is now in. Kendon is now within DRS of Tamas, but did not get it at the DRS detection zone. As we continue on through towards the end of toward the end of that start of lap 5 and into the end of sector 1. Tamas just trying to make sure he manages this race. Kendon Lutt is trying to apply the pressure to the RB, but does Tamas feel the pressure? Does he feel the mounting pressure and the mounting difficulty that is going to come upon him when he starts to have that Haas, who is going to get a bit itchy in that dirty air? He's going to get his tyres a little bit too warm for his liking, and he's not going to enjoy this too much. The Haas just trying to find his way by as he gets closer and closer. He might have an opportunity here with the DRS available. He is preparing his ERS, but Tamas seems to be prepared, a little bit more prepared. He has a lot of ERS in that bank as things stand. We go down towards turn 1. The Haas, DRS enabled. The RB sitting in defence. Can the Haas do anything? Not quite. He's kind of sitting out of the slipstream as things stand. He looks to try and save his not just his battery, save his tyres, save his engine. He needs to save that, because that is all being simulated here, and this is all the opportunity. You don't want to overheat your engine, because that could make it a very big deficit to the drivers behind and your race later on. It's very easy to gain temperature on those engines. It's very hard to cool the engine down. Meanwhile, around the outside, Larry Tolkien tries to attempt, dives to the outside, makes the cut back to the inside on the Ferrari, doesn't manage to do anything there. These cars are very heavy, so it does make it quite difficult to get any sort of quick cutbacks. These are lazy in slower speeds as well, so it is going to be difficult for Larry to do any cutback like that, but he continues on through towards the end of Sector 2. The top 8 drivers are within a DRS of one another, and this is going to become a very interesting fight with all sorts of tyres being represented in that field. 4 medium runners, 3 hard runners, and a soft runner in that top 8. Angelo D'Ortenzio only a little bit further back, followed by Thomas Lamon and EXA X1 and Gabriel Quintino. Meanwhile, these drivers are all pulling out the slipstream to try and manage their engines. Just got to try and keep that under control. It is going to be very, very difficult. If though that engine gets overheated, and Thomas Courtney does not have to worry about any of that, because he's got clean air out in front for absolute miles, and he's going to try and survive this one with and just try and keep that Haas behind, because it only benefits him to keep the Haas behind for long sustained periods. It burns up the Haas tyres, it cooks up the engine, and it manages his race. And at the moment, it is a bit more quieter than what these drivers will want to be happening. The drivers further back in this DRS train aren't able to do anything as things stand. However, it would not be long for any of them try and make some form of move. We now go through towards the end of lap 7 and the start of lap 8, where we see Thomas lead for another lap. Can Dendon do anything done this time round, or is he going to sit out the slipstream? Yes, he will. He will sit out the slipstream. So will everyone else, as they all try and find that bit of pocket of clear air to cool down the tyres and cool down the engine. Meanwhile, we see a bit of battling further back. It's Thomas Laminen and Sid Barrett. Sid Barrett has forced Thomas Laminen, I think, off the road, as Thomas Laminen claims himself a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting there, and that Alpine is our first driver with a time penalty. And Thomas Laminen was I don't know exactly if he got pushed off or if he just decided he was going off the road, but that is a very, very unfortunate penalty. We're only 8 laps in and he's got a long race to go without getting a second, and that is going to be a very long day for him. As at the moment, the Alpine sits in P10 DRS train, as everyone's clearly managing these tyres till the end of their stint and managing this race for as long as possible. We've got a number of different strategies on offer here today. Every single tyre again just being used, and what do they do with these strategies is all up to them. Oh, very wide moment there for Kendon Luck on the exit of the corner. Maybe washed him out a little bit there, but the Haas aren't able to keep the car on the road. We'll certainly have got a warning off the back of that one, as the drivers all filed their way through onto lap 9 now. The RB, the Haas, Ferrari, Alpine, Williams, Mercedes. That covers our top 6 different teams in the top 6, 7 different teams in the top 10, with the Red Bull, Aston and McLaren all being represented as well. We're seeing a bit of a battle here between Gabriel Quintino and EXA X1, as Gabriel Quintino moves his way up to P11 ahead of Sim Barracks, but Sim Barracks is not going to let him have this one easily. We're starting to see gaps beginning to form at the front of the field, because there's now a 5/10 gap between Kendon Lott and Thomas Cockney, but there's now a 9.5 gap between Pascal Ranelli and the top 2, and maybe the tyres of Pascal Ranelli are starting to get a little bit too warm. It's causing a bit of sliding about, and we will see how much that sliding can certainly make a difference, as there's a yellow flag for the McLaren of Gabriel Amato, who's now got front wing damage. Very unfortunate day for the McLaren. As now, here comes Kendall Lott. He will try to take the lead. He does take the lead ahead of the RB. No sort of battle put up there on the RB, but Kendall Lott takes the lead away from Tamas, and that could be the opportunity for the Haas to try and pull away. He's clearly had a bit better pace than the RB, but has he used up a bit too much of his tyres in that dirty air and trying to catch back to the V-carb, or will he be able to use that pace now and pull it away efficiently? So at the moment, it is a very, very difficult day for Tamas, because difficult now for Tamas because he's got to try and keep those tyres in check, what the other drivers have been doing for a number of laps. But if Kendon Lott pulls away, he may slowly fall into the clutches of the drivers behind, like Pascal Brunelli, whose tyres should start to pay dividends on those hards. Being in P3 does certainly play a factor, because at the moment, he on those hards is a very, very different strategy to what is going on around him, and it'll give him some clean air later on. And it'll certainly give him some form of better tyre advantage throughout the rest of the race, as Nelson Alves becomes the first driver to enter the pit lane, and he will switch onto a new set of tyres, same as Thomas Laminem. Anyway, coming to the pits. Nelson Alves into the pit lane. What tyres will we see the Williams go on to? We believe it will be the medium compound tyres. I believe so. I am right there, and we are stuck in the pit lane now. There we go, it's fixed itself. So we will now say Nelson Alves on the hards, as well as Thomas Laminen. They both come out right behind Gabriel Matto. He flied across that white line to get the best race line. He would have got a warning for that. If I'm very surprised he didn't get a penalty. But we continue on. As now, Tamas Cockney now trails Kendon Lott. The Haas is trying everything they want to try. Nelson Alves trying to go around the outside of the McLaren, who, around the outside he does go, he takes the position away from Gabriel Matto, as the papaya car with a bit of front wing damage isn't having the most exciting of races. Nelson Alves, though, is now got a bit of clean air in front of him. He's on the hard compound tyres. That means he'll be going a bit longer than the rest of than he was in the first stint, and he'll be taking his opportunity to try and build himself an undercut. And this is crucial here, because if he does manage to do a one stop here, it's going to be a very, very good day for him. If he has to do a two stop, he's got to do some fighting through the field. However, he started at the back of the grid, was in P7 when he came into the pits, and he will certainly continue strongly with new tyres in comparison to his rivals further up in front. He's got a long gap though, and a lot of clean air to try and manage these tyres and push them at the same time. Kendon Lott up front leads the way. Tamas Cockney in second with Pascal Brunelli, Larry Tolke, Jensen Rosa, Voltesteg, Diego Zorzo, Angelo D'Ortenzio, Gabriel Quinto, Liam Stevens in the top 10, and all within a touching distance of each other, all yet to pit. And it is not over quite yet. We are going to go through the penultimate corner as we we are now into the second third of this race. Now on to lap 13. We see a couple of drivers coming into the pit lane. E1 Alpine of Larry Tolke. Sorry. That one Alpine of Larry Tolke moves his way into P10. Comes into pit lane and it drops down to P10. Will he drop behind Nelson Alves though? That is the key question. What will happen up front as they get very, very close? But Larry Tolke will pull out ahead of Nelson Alves and keep hold of P10 at this time on track. However, Nelson Alves has now got his tyres warmed up, whereas Larry Tolke would not have quite yet. So if his opportunity to overtake is going to be now, he will certainly be able to put himself within DRS window as we go through towards through sector 2. Is there opportunity for the Williams to try and make anything of it, or is as he closes down the gap that little bit more, he tries to find his way in as close and closer and closer to the Alpine and find his way by. Kendon Nutt comes into it, a 3-second time penalty for Liam Stevens for corner cutting. As Thomas Cockney retakes the lead. Couple drivers now all coming into the pits. This will be interesting to see how Larry Tolke and Nelson Alves move themselves and where they position themselves with the undercut they have compared to the rivals out in front. Kendon Lutt coming down the pit lane now, coming towards pit exit. They'll get ahead of Liam Stevens, but will they get ahead of Jenson Rosen? Larry Tolke certainly does. Nelson Alves going to go side by side with his teammate as Nelson Alves goes around the outside of Jenson Rosen to take P9. Kendon Nutt leads the group 1.3 seconds, while Thomas Laminen comes into the pit lane to retire from this session. And as things stand, it is going to become a race of who has not just a better strategy but a better pace and better managing of their tyres. We will now see we'll see the front of the field though. Tamas leading Pascal Ranelli. Tamas comes into the pit lane. This is going to be interesting to see how he comes out, where he comes out in comparison to his rivals of Kendon Lutt. Kendon Lutt in this race, Pascal Ranelli continues on. So this Fantastic and Diego's also Angelo Tencio as well as Gabriel Quintino. The top 5 continuing on as they were, but I believe they were all on the hards, and they are on the hards. 14 lap old. They will be trying to go as long in this race as they possibly can. While Tamas Kokone moves into P6. Will he get ahead of the Haas? He will come out behind Kendon Lutt. Will he come out behind Larry Tolke? That is the question. Larry Tolke around the outside, trying to make the move stick. Can he make it stick as they go side by side? They have a little bit of contact there, but it isn't anything major there. A bit of wheel banging. That allows Nelson Alves through on Tamas Kokone. The man who was leading into turn 1 does now drop to P9 on track and P4 in this group as we go through sector 2 now. That RB has really lost out due to their them trying to do a longer stint on those tyres, and that is a very, very hard pill to swallow for the RB. And as things stand, it is really Pascal Ranelli, who has a bit of clean air ahead of Diego Zorzo and Fantastic. Diego Zorzo has got ahead of Fantastic in the Mercedes the Silver War, as at the moment the championship leader is trying to find his way towards the Scuderia, who really is putting in a very solid stint here. All 4 drivers on this hard compound tyres plus Gabriel Quintino are doing very solid jobs on these hards as they now try and overcut their rivals. Liam Stevens, fastest lap of the race in the Aston Martin, as everyone is really trying to really try now to extend this hard tyre life, try and push that one stop. They will be going to probably the mediums later on in this race. I wonder what lap we are looking at. Probably around lap 18 to 20. We are 18 to 22, probably maybe 22. We are looking at these tyres. These drivers getting new sets of tyres for themselves. And they've got a few laps to sort themselves out, but they will be having drivers behind them, honing in on them. 11.3 is the gap between Kendon Lutt and Gabriel Quintino. 16.9 is the gap between Pascal Ranelli and Kendon Lutt. 19.5. Kendon Lutt has pulled out a bit of a gap to the rivals on the same compound of tyres and the same sort of strategy behind him. And he's doing an excellent job at this stage to try and manage the pace. As at the moment, it is a very, very... we don't know who is on the better strategy here. We have no clue what is the better option, as these drivers look to try and manage every ounce of their tyres and make sure they get the stint and they don't lose pace that quickly. Diego Zorzo currently in P2, but it's whether or not he manages to maintain P2 by the end of this race with the correct strategy, or whether he loses out. It's going to be very difficult for these drivers to overtake, but they will have the tyre advantage by the end of the race. as Gabriel Mato gets a 3-second time penalty for their troubles. Very unfortunate for them. Diego's also now is really starting to mount the pressure to Pascal Ranelli. Will he become the lead driver on this set of these group of drivers? Into the race lead he goes. Diego's also our championship leader. Moves his way into P1 as the Mercedes puts himself in prime position now at the front of this group and potentially looking to try and push these drivers. Push drivers who will now be getting onto, by the time they get done with their stint, 5 to 8 lap old tyres, maybe 9-10 lap old hards by the time they get round to it. And this will be a very, very different day for the drivers involved if they do not manage those hard compound correctly, because they will be pushing to try and close this gap. But these drivers here will be certainly trying to make sure they can get these tyres to last the distance. 12.2 between Kendon Lutt and Angelo D'Ortenzio now, and this group here. This they got to be really careful not to. Well, Kendon Lutt's got to be really careful not to burn out his tyres. Got a 3.1 second gap to Larry Tolke, and that is going to help him later on. But if he's pushed those tyres too much, it could pay dividends by the end of this race. We see as Kendon Lutt has. I don't think. Yeah, he hasn't. He's currently 7 points in this race standings. He could basically quadruple that tally by the end of this race. With 25 points in the bag, that will put him on 32, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 32. Yeah, 32. So that Kendon Lutt is really, really gunning for this, and it could really help him back into a fight with the drivers who are at the top of the standings. Diego Sorso, Larry Tolke, Jason Rosen, Tamas Kokone, Tony Hertella, who I don't know if he's got. I hope he's back next week. Same with the drivers like Valentino Labella. Liam Stevens, who is racing here tonight, currently in P10. He will be putting himself potentially closer to that P6 in the standings, as the Aston gains themselves a couple of points. In comes the race leader, Diego Zorzo, into the pit lane for his first stop of the race as Pascal Ranelli and Voltec Steg stay out. Angelo D'Ortenzio and Diego Zorzo both pitting for medium compound of tyres to go to the end of this race. We've got 13 laps. They both will now drop behind the 5-car train, plus potentially maybe even Gabriel Quintino. Not quite there, but they will put themselves nicely in between. Oh, that is a very difficult cut for Angelo D'Ortenzio. He cut straight across that circuit to make sure that there's no chance the Aston Martin was going to get out in front of him. Be swooping around the outside, as now the Ferrari puts itself P10. The Mercedes in P9, but they've got a fair bit of overtaking to do if they want to get to the front of this field. At the moment, though, we will start to see as these drivers really will need to bring their tyres in nicely, find that bit of patience, because at the end of the day, these drivers in front of them are now on what is 9 lap older, harder compound of tyres, a couple of them, 5 lap older hard at the very lowest of Tamas. But they've got a fair tyre advantage, to say the least, at the moment. It's more about where does Pascal Ranelli and Voltec Steg come out in comparison. They should theoretically come out behind. However, it's very, very difficult. As Jensen Rosen's had some form of issue, he's left the session for the Williams, and that is not the easiest thing for the Williams, who is currently sitting in now down in P10, and they have now disconnected, and that is going to be a very difficult day for the Williams, who was doing so decently to where they were, and that disconnection would ultimately end up being race ruining. Kendon Lutt retakes the lead now after all the pit stop cycle, 4.3 second lead of Larry Tolke. Nelson Alves in P3, while Thomas Cockney in P4, Liam Stevens P5, Gabriel Amato retires from the racing P. Oh, he retires right on main straight. What has happened there? That's a safety car. That's going to bunch up the field. Is this going to be an opportunity for anyone? Is anyone going to take the opportunity to pit for a new set of tyres? Or Kendon Luck does. He's got a bit of a gap, so he might not drop to the back of the field. Particularly while these drivers like this. We're going to see some other drivers coming into the pit lane of Nelson Alves, Larry Tolke, Tamas Cokley, Liam Stevens. A couple of them goes flying into the pit lane and flying into the wall. They do not want to be doing that. But that allows Diego Zorzo into the lead of this race. Well, the rest, Leon Gabriel Contino into P2, P3 for Vontae instead. Both the Ferraris coming to the pit lane as well. Angelo D'Ortenzio's on the softs. It is all going to start changing now, and everyone is kind of given a bit of a reset too. As we go through, through towards now the safety car. Diego Zorzo leads the way in what is now a very, very different race that we are just now we are witnessing. Not exactly sure what happened there with Gabriel Amato, but that has now allowed us with 12 drivers running to have pretty much a complete reset. Apart from Gabriel, well, Diego's also Volkswagen Steg on 2 and 1 lap old mediums, so Gabriel Contino on 4 lap old mediums. So he's going to be the worst of the runners quite now in terms of tyre pace. However, the rest of the field pretty much back to square one. We've got a reset. Our pole sitter is currently in P10 on a fresh set of medium compounded tyres, but he's now completely lost track position. I'm not exactly sure why the Ferraris didn't just stay out. They'd only just gone on to those mediums as well in the last couple laps. And now we've just got a bit of a chance for all these drivers to cool down their engines, get themselves prepared with a full set of battery, and it is a very, very it's basically a sprint race to the finish. We're going to have like 10 laps to go by the end of this one, as the drivers all kind of now get their tyres all prepped for the start of this race. The restart of this race, and we've now got just a sprint race. Yeah, it is literally a sprint race to the finish. As easy drivers, what a sprint race around here is actually on a 50% race is 10 laps. So, and that is on mediums normally. So apart from Tamas, Angelo D'Ortenzio and Sim Barracks, everyone else is, and Gabriel Contino, everyone else is going to be doing a sprint race to the end. Is now just a bit more of a chance for everyone to catch up themselves. And you've got Nelson Alves 10 positions gained, 7 positions gained for Angelo D'Ortenzio. Seeing him and Liam Stevens back and forth a little bit. 6 positions gained for Diego Zorzo and Gabriel Contino. 5 positions for Liam Stevens. 2 for Vortex Stead and Sim Barracks. 9 positions lost for Pascal Ranelli. 6 lost for Jensen Rosen. 5 lost for Tamas Kokone, 1 for Kendall Lutt and 1 for Larry Tolke. We are about to get ourselves going again with 10 laps to go. A 10-lap sprint to the end of this race. Who can take victory? Diego Zorzo, our championship leader, looks to extend his championship lead over his rivals as he go round the final couple of corners. Really slowing down the field. Really trying to get the tyres wall. And now, here's opportunity about to arise. And around the final corner, as we are about to get going, Diego Zorzo getting a decent start to pull out a slight gap over his rivals. And Diego Zorzo leads the way onto lap 24 of 33. The drivers all filing themselves down into turn 1. Nothing really changing at the start as they all try now put themselves in the best position possible. They know they can push the tyres that little bit more than they were in the opening stints. And due to the amount that's around the outside goes Angelo D'Ortenzio, who's currently on the soft compound tyres. He's trying to go around the outside of Thomas Cockney, but can he make the move stick? He's turned to the inside for turn 5 as the Ferrari tries to make the move stick. He does make the move stick as that's how Liam Stevens back alongside of him, as we're going to see a bit more battling further up front. Kendall Lott moves up to P3, contact between him and Votesteg, as we now see Larry Tolkien going to P inside of Votesteg, moves up to P4, Larry Tolkien P4, Kendall Lott P3, Votesteg P5, and D'Ortenzio meanwhile is starting to try and mount some pressure on Nelson Albert, who dives up the inside of the Mercedes. He's trying to make this move stick while the Ferrari is trying to find his way through the by both the Williams and the Mercedes at the same time. Nelson Alves moves up the P-side. Votesteg moves down from P3 to P6 in the space of a couple corners, and now he could look at P7 by the end of this straight if Angelo D'Ortenzio has anything to say about it. As we now go down towards the turn 1, nothing really happening into the first corner. However, grip differences between the drivers is really starting to play dividends as Pascal Ranelli and Thomas Cockney side by side. Thomas has dropped down to P11. Meanwhile, Pascal Ranelli up to P9. Around the outside goes Angelo D'Ortenzio through turn 4. Can he make the move stick once more as we enter turn 5? Uses the later braking from Votesteg as he goes a little bit deeper, but the Ferrari and the Mercedes still side by side as we enter turn 6. Into turn 7 we go through the left-hander. Can he make the move stick? He does make the move stick as Votesteg is now going to come under pressure from Liam Stevens now, who tries to go up the inside into turn 9. Couldn't quite make the move stick there. We enter now turn 10. Is it going to be opportunity for the Aston Martin, who dives up the inside? A bit of wheel banging there, forces the Mercedes and the Aston Martin off the road. They are completely off the road. Goes to Mercedes and the Aston Martin. The Aston of Liam Stevens spins. Votesteg down to P8. Thomas also spun somewhere as well. Sim Barracks one has dropped off the also had some sort of incident. He's in Votesteg's in P8. Pascal Ranelli up to P7. Angelo D'Ortenzio P6. Nelson Alves P5, Harry Toki P4, Kendall Lott P3, maybe even P2 by the end of this one, because here comes Kendall Lott on the back of Gabriel Condino, who is currently on aging mediums at this stage, as the Haas is trying to make his name. Up the inside he goes into turn 4. Can the Haas make the move stick? He can't quite there because the Aston Martin keeps his nose in. Into turn 5, they're both side by side through towards the exit. It is going to continue to get tight through turn 6 into turn 7. Not quite anything there as we go up towards turn 8. And now into turn 9, Gabriel Condino defending that place nicely. This has given Diego also that extra little bit of space. Only a couple tenths, but enough breathing space nonetheless. Around the outside, tries to go again. He'll cut to the inside for the exit of turn 10 into turn 11. Unable to do anything there. Gabriel Condino managing to try and manage that pace and manage the gap and defend like an absolute lion as we go into turn 13 and turn 14. Can the Aston Martin defend it against him once more? We're on to lap 27 of 33. The Haas not going to let this one go. Neither will the Aston Martin, though. As we go into turn 1. Is there any opportunity for Diego's also to be attacked? Not quite there from Gabriel Condino, but he's also trying to be defend against Kendall Lott. As we go into turn 3 now. It is going to be the better traction from the Haas, who is going to try and put himself up the inside into turn 4. Unable to do anything there. Around the outside goes Williams and Nelson Alves on Larry Tolkien, but unable to do anything there as we continue down towards turn 5. Meanwhile, Larry Tolkien is defending for his life against Nelson Alves, and the Williams is trying his best at every situation to try and manage his way by, as Nelson Alves is trying to literally everything in the same vein. Kendall Lott is trying everything as well, while the two Ferraris as well are making their way up towards the back of the Williams and the Alpine. Angelo D'Ortenzio on the soft compounded tyres. Has he got any? Are those tyres going to last him enough of this race to make anything and keep himself in that position? It already looks like Pascal Ranelli is causing him a bit of pressure as we go through towards the penultimate corner into the final corner. We're going to go on to start lap 28 of 33. Is there anything for Gabriel Codino to do to defend? He hasn't having to defend against Kendon Luck. Kendon Luck stays behind by a few car lengths. Oh. So, now, through turn 3, up towards turn 4. Can Kendon Luck manage anything here, or will he have to stay behind the Aston Martin, who is certainly defending for his life on 4-lap older mediums, and a VSC has been called for Liam Stevens, unfortunately ending his race, and that is a very now breather for these drivers and myself, because that is going to get a bit more chaotic in a very next moment, because when this goes green, who is going to be on it? Who is going to be ready? It is going to be any moment from now, and these as the Haas gets themselves right on the back of the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin is getting themselves ready to defend, so they're already looking to go side by side on exit or entrance into every next corner. Who is going to get the jump correctly? Who is going to get it wrong? Because it could be the difference between where you start and where you finish this race. As we now get ourselves ready to go on the main straight. Who is going to get it right? Is it going to be on the main straight? These guys, oh, they are so close. Drive through penalty for Kendon Luck and Sim Barracks for contact with people. Kendon Luck drive through penalty, and there's all sorts of chaos further back as Gabriel Codino moves his way up to P1. Jaegers also down to P2. Kendon Luck is P3, but with a drive through penalty on Nelson Alves in P4. Larry Tolke's down to P6 after going off the road. He's side by side with Pascal Ranelli, but he can't quite do anything there as we now go through into P6. P6 goes Pascal Ranelli, and Larry Tolke down to P7. 10-second time penalty for Nelson Alves for corner cutting and gaining a place. It is all sorts of chaos that a VSC is thrown, and that is a very unfortunate day for a couple of drivers. That slight bit of contact from Kendon Luck to Gabriel Codino has completely cost him this race, as he's now got no opportunity of comeback, no ace up his sleeve. It is a day done for Kendon Luck. He's going to have to finish wherever that drive through puts him, and that is going to be probably around P8, P9. As now Gabriel Codino, there is also lead the way, and Nelson Alves for a 10-second time penalty. This is crucial to his race, because he's now got Andrea Dortencio, Pascal Ranelli and Larry Tolke all behind him. All sorts of chaos threw themselves into the air, as we now see Diego Zorzo retake the lead, as Kendon Luck decided he's not going to go take that drive through. He's continuing on with this race, but unfortunately for him, he will have to serve that. We are close to the end of this one, and it is not going to be an easy day for him. Meanwhile, that is pure frustration for the Haas, who had done very well in terms of pace to lead this race, but is now to the outside. Gabriel Codino, but it isn't going to make much difference. Here around the outside, he wants this move done. He's doing this out of pure anger, I feel, because at the moment he is trying to get around the outside, moves his way into T2 on track, and that he's got that move done, but after that drive through, it is well too late for that to be done. Nelson Alves to the outside of Gabriel Codino. He is trying to do something in this race. He's got a 10-second time penalty due to corner cutting and gaining a place. I wonder if that will be taken to the stewards. As now Kendon Luck comes into the pit lane, and that is probably because he realised at the end of the day he's got that well, he's got the he has to drive through, but he also at least has got that move done. So at least morally, he knows he's done better than he's done it. At the end of the day, we are now on lap 31. Nelson Alves in P3, but with a 10-second time penalty, this is going to allow Andrea Dortencio and Pascal Ranelli and Larry Tolke fighting out for the final podium spot. Jaegers also leads the way. Our championship leader looks to extend that lead. As up the inside goes Voltec Steg. He moves his way into P6 potentially, while Larry Tolke has to defend side by side again. Both of them braking so late they lock up both their rears, and they continue in the positions they were. Larry Tolke P6, Voltec Steg P7, and at the moment it does not stop as we continue on through the rest of the lap as Larry Tolkien and Baltic stayed out. So very, very close, but both drivers kept that one clean. Oh, what a close drive that was. Meanwhile, Diego Zorzo up front, 6/10 lead now of Gabriel Contino. Does the Aston have anything left to fight the Mercedes on those tyres, who got a couple lap older mediums? However, they will certainly be fading fast, but only 2 lap older medium, bear in mind. But the drivers further behind, who really would mount them a challenge, are Nelson Alves, who has a 10-second time penalty. But Angelo Dortentia on the softs, whose tyres will certainly be going off at this stage, and Pascal Ranelli, he's a few positions further back. So Diego Zorzo at this moment has got an opportunity, a good opportunity to take this championship lead with authority. But Nelson Alves' penalty, we'll see how much that one gets questioned by the end of it, as the Williams currently still fighting on like he hasn't got a penalty as we go through towards a lap and a half to go, and it's all kicked off in these last 10 laps. And what a race it has been. Very difficult for some, very good for others. Diego's also started down not even I think like P7 in the end, and is in this lead, and he's done it through pure consistency and just being in the right place at the right time. But he's now got just a lap to go, and Diego's also has done everything he needed to. He just has to defend this little bit longer and make no more mistakes, as Gabriel Contino in P2 could very much take this one home with an excellent drive from himself. Personally, I thought he was going to struggle a bit more by the end of this one, but he certainly has shown that he has managed those tyres to perfection. We go through turn 4 and up towards turn 5. Can Diego Zorzo, Gabriel Quintino continue manage it for the last half a lap? The drivers all settled down now, but it has been an excellent race for some and very good racing overall. Unfortunate for others, Kendon Luck being one of them, who having a very unfortunate drive-through penalty. Very, very unlucky there. Sim Barracks as well, unfortunate penalty. Could have at least got a couple more positions out of this one. But that is when it all is said and done. It is going to be on the top step of the podium. Diego Zorzo in the Mercedes. That silver arrow comes around the final corner to take the victory at the Spanish Grand Prix and extend his championship lead. Gabriel Quintino comes home P2. P3 for Nelson Alves, who drops down the field with that 10-second time penalty. Angelo Dordencio takes the final podium spot on penalties. Pascal Ranelli, P4. Larry Tolkien, P5. Voltec Steg in P6. Thomas Cockney in P7. Nelson Alves finished in P8 in the end. Kendon Nutt, P9. Sim Barracks 1. Around that top 10 of Jensen Rosen, completing our drivers. And what a race that was. It has been a very difficult day for some. And that is race done. Whew. Congratulations to Diego Zorzo on that race victory and extending his championship lead. We'll quickly see as we go through to the end of this one. We'll see as we make sure everything gets done. He's also a race winner. Thomas Cockney, fastest lap driver of the day, Angelo Dordencio. Nelson Alves most overtakes the cleanest driver to Thomas Cockney. Diego Zorzo wins this race. Gabriel Quintino, Angelo Dordencio, Pascal Ranelli, Larry Tolkien, Voltic Stick, Thomas Cockney, Nelson Alves, Kendon Lutt, Sim Barracks 1 and Jensen Rosen are your finishers, while Liam Stevens, Gabriel Mato, Thomas Laminen, Alexei Cavero and Koks Bodensky are non-finishers. Fastest lap to Thomas, like I said. But there was also victory. Congratulations on his race win and extending his drivers' championship lead. We'll be back next week, hopefully, for another race and another chapter in Division 1's story. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye.